Hello dear viewers, and a heartfelt welcome back to our channel where we explore the living, breathing history of the British royal family. It is about King Charles III, now 76, and his recent, painfully honest confession about the true love of his life, a revelation that has left Britain, and indeed the world, reeling. This was not just another palace announcement or a royal speech carefully scripted to appease public curiosity. No. This was a moment of raw vulnerability, a window into the soul of a man raised not just to rule, but to suppress, to sacrifice, and to endure. For decades, Charles's love life has been the stuff of legend and scandal: the gilded wedding to Lady Diana Spencer, the infamous love triangle with Camilla Parker Bowles, and endless speculation about what really went on behind those palace walls. But now, for the first time in years, King Charles allowed himself to speak not as a monarch, but as a man, broken and shaped by love, loss, and the relentless demands of destiny. His voice was heavy, his words tinged with regret and longing. And what he confessed went far beyond gossip. It was the revelation of a soul scarred by the choices he was forced to make. The making of a king, a childhood of shadows. Let's start at the beginning, before the crowns, before the scandals, before the world saw anything but a charming young prince. Charles's childhood, as many biographies have chronicled, was a strange mixture of luxury and loneliness. He was born in the palatial comfort of Buckingham Palace, the firstborn son of Princess Elizabeth, destined from his very first breath to be king. But what does it mean to be born into a role you never chose? While other boys played in the mud, climbed trees, or learned about the world through scraped knees and whispered secrets, Charles was constantly surrounded by watchful eyes, nannies, tutors, guards, and royal advisors. He never knew what it meant to be anonymous, to make a mistake, or even to express himself without fear of being judged, corrected, or gossiped about. Every smile, every word, every glance was rehearsed, measured, and weighed for its impact on the future of the monarchy. At school, at Gordonstown, he was not just Charles, he was the Prince of Wales, the future king. He felt the pressure of 1,000 years of tradition on his shoulders. There was never a chance to be a carefree adolescent. Every personal weakness became a matter of state. Every wish or whim was scrutinized, and his every relationship, even as a teenager, was a potential scandal. A love forbidden, the lost woman. And so, from an early age, Charles learned to bury his true feelings, to prioritize duty above desire. But the human heart is stubborn. In the secret corridors of royal life, Charles encountered someone who saw through all the titles and trappings, a woman who called him simply Charles, not your Royal Highness. She understood his humor, listened to his worries, and offered him a taste of genuine companionship and understanding. This relationship, whether a brief spark or a deep burning flame, gave Charles what he'd always hungered for: acceptance. But this woman was not of royal stock. She did not meet the monarchy's narrow criteria for a future queen. Royal advisors frowned. The family intervened. And, in the end, Charles, always the dutiful prince, let her go. He chose the crown over his heart, the family image over his own happiness. It was a choice that would haunt him for the rest of his life. Diana, the public fairy tale, the private tragedy. With the forbidden love behind him, Charles married Lady Diana Spencer, the nation's fairytale princess. The wedding, a global spectacle, was hailed as a modern myth come true. Millions watched Diana, radiant in white, smile beside her prince. But beneath the pageantry, a storm was already gathering. Diana was young, sensitive, unprepared for the cold rigors of palace life. Charles, still haunted by the woman he could not have, struggled to give Diana the love she so desperately needed. They were, in many ways, strangers united by expectation, separated by unspoken wounds. The public saw glamour and unity. Behind the palace walls, there was isolation and pain. Diana's diaries, published years after her death, revealed the depth of her loneliness, her struggle to fit into a world that often seemed to value her more for her image than her spirit. Diana's mental health suffered. She developed bulimia, wrestled with anxiety and depression, and often felt suffocated by the demands of royal life. Charles, trained from birth to be emotionally restrained, found it difficult, perhaps impossible, to give her what she needed most: warmth, understanding, vulnerability. Even as they smiled for the cameras, Their marriage was slowly disintegrating under the weight of expectation and unhealed wounds. Camilla, the other woman, the enduring love. Long before Diana, there was Camilla Shand. Their connection was immediate, easy, and deep. But Camilla was not deemed suitable by royal standards. The establishment pressured Charles to marry someone else, someone who could play the part. He did as he was told, but his heart never really let Camilla go. Throughout his marriage to Diana, Charles and Camilla maintained a quiet, sometimes scandalous, relationship. Diana knew. The public suspected. Eventually, it all came out: the tapes, the interviews, the public admissions of adultery. Camilla was branded a homewrecker. Diana became the people's princess, beloved for her vulnerability, her empathy, her rebellion against a system that tried to silence her. But after Diana's tragic death in 1997, everything changed. Charles was free, at last, to be with the woman he'd always loved. Still, the journey was slow, cautious, fraught with public skepticism and disapproval. It wasn't until 2005 that Charles and Camilla finally married, in a quiet ceremony that was a far cry from the spectacle of his first wedding. A lifetime of regret, Charles's heartfelt confession. Now, as king, Charles's recent confession is both a reckoning and a release. In an emotional interview, his voice cracking with the weight of decades, he spoke of love lost, of chances wasted, of the inexorable pull between duty and desire. He praised Camilla for her patience, her loyalty, her years in the shadows. He acknowledged Diana's suffering, her legacy, and the irreplaceable loss that her death left in his life and in the lives of their sons. But most astonishingly, Charles admitted that the love of his life might not be the woman at his side, nor the icon he married, but perhaps someone he never had the chance to grow old with, someone who, because of royal duty, slipped through his fingers forever. The media, royal commentators, and the public have speculated endlessly. Who was she? Was it Camilla, truly, or a forgotten figure erased by the needs of the crown? The answer may never be fully known. But what is clear is this: for all his power, privilege, and palatial comforts, Charles is a man shaped by longing and regret. His confession strips away the myths of monarchy and reminds us that, even for kings, life is about sacrifice, heartbreak, and the haunting ache of what might have been. The shadows of the crown, the next generation. For Princes William and Harry, their parents' tragedy became a template for their own struggles. Diana's diaries, full of sorrow and defiance, shaped their understanding of love, duty, and the cost of silence. William, ever the heir, has tried to honor both parents, supporting his father's reign while upholding Diana's legacy of compassion and honesty. Harry, meanwhile, has rebelled against the system entirely, choosing to leave royal life and forge his own path, even at the cost of bitter family rifts. The pain of the past lingers. The royal family, still so bound by tradition, has been forced, by scandal, by tragedy, by confession, to finally reckon with the emotional realities behind the fairy tales. The world looks on, divided between empathy and criticism, fascination and exhaustion. A universal story: love, duty, and the price of privilege. In the end, Charles's confession is not just about royalty. It's about us all. It is a story of longing for something real, of making choices that shape a lifetime, of the cost of putting duty above joy. It's about the families we inherit, the loves we lose, and the truths we hide even from ourselves. For all its privilege and power, monarchy is, in Charles's words, a cage as much as a crown. Behind the silks and diamonds, there is always a human heart longing, regretting, remembering. What do you think? Was Charles right to choose duty over love? Can true happiness ever be found when your heart is not your own to give? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and if you were moved by this story, please like and subscribe for more in-depth royal insights. Thank you for watching. And remember, even the greatest stories are shaped by the secrets no one dares to tell.